Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and this is the next part in our series of trying to save certain characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ for Season 3. So a lot of characters are very unfortunate in this game and just simply don't have what they need to really compete seriously. And hey, let's take a look at it. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Blue Vegeta. So for Blue Vegeta, one of the biggest strikes against him right now, besides the fact he's obviously not one of the better characters in the game, is he's just very aimless. Like, he doesn't even really have an archetype you can assign to him, right? He just is. Like, I guess the most daring thing you can say about him is like, oh hey, he's the guy with the Rekha kicks, right? And that's about it. Since launch, like when the game first came out, I found Blue Vegeta honestly the most slapped together character, like the most character without any kind of direction at all. Basically just, copy paste assets from the other Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and that was it, right? So with what we're going to be talking about here, we're going to assume he's not going to get any new moves, any new animations, because that kind of budget is going to be tied up in the DLC. If you want your Ultra Instinct Goku to look pretty, that means Blue Vegeta's not getting any new moves, right? So we're going to work with what he has and then try to just give him some sort of identity and a purpose in his game plan. So once again, our goal being just to make him, a mid-tier-ish style character, not necessarily bust or anything, but we just want to give him enough zazz, enough identity to, be playable. Let's start at the start, and let's start at the normals here, and let's start with Stand H. Very simple move here. It is what it is. The range is not amazing. It definitely doesn't seem to have range in line with the animation, in my opinion. And I would just say extend the range just a bit. Maybe not like, hits from here like he's Nappa or Cooler or nothing like that, right? But just enough so you can use it more in a neutral tool, because otherwise, hey, Vegeta's, they got the stubby buttons, right? So just a little more razzmatazz, just forward expand the hitbox, make him slide a bit further while he's doing it. I think that's eminently fair. And also on the normal fronts, let's talk these basic ki blasts he has. So the one thing about them that's, I guess, somewhat unique is they can chain. So the down one, which shoots up in the air, can chain from the regular grounded version. And I would just say, make it so he can shoot 2 ki blasts, but he chooses which one. So you don't have to always go ground into air version. He can throw 2 basic ones by himself, right? Just repeat the animation. So he goes, what, real quick. That's it, that's all. You don't need to go into a whole, shooting 5+ ki blasts like other characters. And conversely, same deal with the aerial version. You hold down, you go, what, and he can shoot 2 at the angle real quick here. And much the same in the air, he can just shoot 2 real quick. Just gives him a little more neutral control, and it doesn't, you don't have to make any new animations or anything. It just makes the ki blast a little more valuable, as a single shot's kind of whatever. He's certainly not an offensive dynamo like some other characters that have a single shot like Bardock. So just a little bit more screen control, I think that's more than fine. So now let's talk about one of the big ones here, and this is one where I give him a big case of identity. Like, hey, an archetype to work with. And let's talk those dunks he has. So the dunks are command grabs, if you're not aware. So if I set the enemy to block everything, so they are guarding, right? And I go for my dunk, hey, you still got guy, right? And from there, of course, I can cancel and do a super, all that fun stuff. But the thing is, the dunks suck. Because, yeah, while it is a grab, it can't hit people crouching. Like, it don't work that way. So what I would suggest is this, because this move is air okay as well. Make the grounded versions of the move true command grabs. So don't worry about the weird hitboxiness of it, all that kind of stuff. They are just now true command grabs and have all the same thing. So it can hit a crouching enemy, and conversely, if the enemy tries to jump out of it, then it doesn't work, right? You can't grab them. Versus this move as it stands right now, if you do jump out of it, then yeah, they can get out of it, right? But yeah, so make it a true command grab, and then boom, all of a sudden, he starts having identity. Okay, he's a quasi-grappler, right? So the light version will be the same dunk it is. The medium version, which I cannot hit a ground enemy with as it stands, will do this, and just work from there. The light version, maybe make it 2 or 3 frames faster. As it currently stands, I believe it hits in 23 frames on a standing opponent, if I am correct. There we go, yeah. So 23 frames, so just make it like 21. It doesn't have to be fast as Broly or nothing, right? So the light grab doesn't have to be as fast as like the proper grappler characters, but it'll give him something to work with. And once again, the medium grounded version, Just make it the same as the aerial version here. You do a little hit on the wall, you can combo it if you're in the corner, it's slower than the regular version, all that fun stuff. Conversely here, another thing to help give him identity with that grapple is, hey, just give it the anti-air property like a down heavy has, right? So if you were to catch a random homing dash, you could grab him out of it. As it stands, that is never going to happen. The move is too slow and it has no real use outside of combos. So, hey, it's just something to give it a little more flair. Once again, okay, he's a semi-grappler. The grapple is deadly. You got to worry about it. And he can stop you in the air versus, like, having to rely on, you know, just, like, buttons, which is not very good for him. He's not a character that's especially very good at it, right? The grounded dunks are true grabs and have all the same powers and flaws a true grab has. And the aerial grabs, on top of being the combo fodder they are right now, they have the anti-air property, so they can actually nail people out of the air if you call them on it. I think these are two strong ways to give the dunk a lot more identity, a lot more value, and this is one of the few unique animations he has, right? Because everything else is ripped from the other Vegeta, so it makes one of his very few unique moves all the more unique yet. Now, another thing Blue Vegeta has to work with here is the Big Bang attack. And it's a nice big old explosion, you know, it's not quite eating up the same real estate as a beam or nothing. And the one thing to note about it is the initial startup does have a hitbox, as you can see here. So the thing about it, though, is compared to any other beam or a projectile or whatever, it takes forever to get going and hit the enemy. Now, he has no quarter circle back S animation. He has no down S animation or anything like that. He just has quarter circle forward S, right? So I would suggest this. Just give it an alternate mode. So the regular quarter circle forward S, hey, same as it always was. And if you give it quarter circle back S, what would happen instead is he loses the part where the initial part has the hitbox, but the projectile itself comes out quicker. So it is more valuable to use in neutral versus this thing, which you can just vanish on reaction and just smack them because it takes forever to get going, right? So basically, keep the same move the way it is, sure, but use that unused motion of quarter circle back S and just give him the version without all this startup and he just shoots the projectile. It's still not as good as a beam no matter what you do because, you know, it doesn't wall bounce or any of that stuff. It's difficult to one single hit vanish confirm off it, all that kind of stuff. But it would give this move more value in neutral because he doesn't have too many options in neutral. And just, yeah, that's about it. If you're up close, sure, whatever. You can still use the regular version. In fact, it is actually to your advantage to do the regular version in certain combos. Like if you're doing like Niagara Pummel hold combos, because it gets the wall bounce and you can recombo from there. And he is a character that has no double super scaling. So if you do the held version of Niagara Pummel here, and then, you know, recombo, and go in the end with Gallic Gun, it still does the normal damage it does, right? So it has combo value too, right? But in neutral, it's just whatever, who cares, right? So once again, just one more time to reiterate, just give him the unused motion here, quarter circle back S, so he can do something with it. It's the same move, just make the front end a lot faster so he gets around the shooting projectile a lot quicker than he currently does, so it's a lot more valuable. So another thing that Blue Vegeta has is the Rekha series, and the Rekha series is alright. Like, it's not amazing, but it's certainly not the worst thing in the world, right? But it can certainly stand to be better. Now, one of the things that's very annoying about the Rekha series is there's a big old gap. So if you want to go from light Rekha into medium Rekha here, hey, that's reflectable. And there's no real reason it should be. Like, there's no reflect gap from light to light. Even if you go medium to medium, there's a gap, right? So that doesn't make much sense to me. So I think it'd be very fair just to either you increase the hit stun, or rather the block stun rather, on the light and medium versions by a little bit, or just make the follow-up medium just a little bit faster, a frame or two faster, just so you can't just mash reflect or mash an invincible level 3 or whatever, brain dead, just get out of it for free, right? Because it is a cornerstone of his pressure. It's not a great part of his pressure, but, you know, it exists because you can do stuff like this, you know, Rekha, and he goes forward and you can forward dash and go do stuff like that, right? And same deal here with the medium ender as well, same deal, you can just follow up, right? So these are things where you can do it as a block stun, call your assist, forward dash, pressure out from there, and that's fine, right? But there's no real reason to have a reflectable, mashable gap right there, specifically, because you have plenty of time to mash, reflect, and invincible stuff on the follow-up from there, right? So no reason to have 2 points of failure here, right? Now another thing here, the EX Rekhas. So each successive part of the Rekha series, all 3 parts of it, each can be EX'd. And like that's some of the most wasteful amount of bar in the game, right? Now the second part has a bit of a use as a side switcher, and the final part just like is a bar dump for damage, right? But the first part is effectively useless. It doesn't have any real value. It's effectively the same as the regular base version, except for the fact that it does just a smidge more damage. And that is to say 600 versus 700, right? So it's not worth burning the bar on that at all. So here's what I would say to give it some value. Is, as it currently stands, and to no surprise to anybody, it is quite negative on block, right? So -8, and hey, so is the regular one. But if you're going to burn a bar on this for like basically no real extra amount of damage, I would say this. Make the first hit of the EX Rekha and first hit only. Make it advantage on block. Give them an incentive to use it, right? So you do this and like you're just +1. Like you don't even have to be crazy. You don't need a mass amount of plus frames, just +1 from here, right? So you can threaten a little bit from there at the range it would leave you on block. It would just give it a reason to be used ever. Versus the literal pointlessness that it currently stands, right? Because there's no reason to use this over the regular light Rekha at all. So once again here, just give it a single plus frame. You burn a bar for a plus frame. I think that's a very fair trade. No need even to change the range on block, you know. As it stands, you can still hit with a crouch light, and I think that's more than fine. Gives them a bit of room to breathe, or you can just like walk backwards if they're going to try to mash them, just whiff punish that. It just creates a situation that doesn't exist before with this character. Like, Vegeta is a very aggressive character, right? Like, nominally, anyways. And I think this is keeping in line with giving him some form of identity and making the dunks a lot more useful. Burning a bar for a single plus frame just to, like, nominally keep it your turn, or at least keep, you know, the real pressure on the character. These are the things that help give him identity. Okay, now all of a sudden, he went from, like, kind of aimless whatever to, okay, he's a high-pressure character up front that is going to steal turns and eventually crack you open with a dunk, right? Now, these are the things that give him some form of identity. So those are just some of the thoughts I have for Blue Vegeta. Once again, I don't want to make him crazy overpowered or nothing, because that doesn't benefit anyone, because then we just complain about Blue Vegeta next season instead of GT Goku, and nothing actually really changes in the end, right? Him, more than I think anyone else who really needs help in the game right now, probably would benefit the most from just a whole new move, right? Just something else than what he currently has. But once again, I don't think they're going to be dumping money into animating whole new moves for him, because once again, that money's going to be spent on making the DLC characters. But still, with that said, I think these changes are very fair and give the character a lot more identity than he has. Just basically a very aggressive semi-grappler, which is a hell of a lot more than he is right now, that is for sure. So hey, making dunks a lot better. You know, making basic Ki Blast just a little more interesting, making the Big Bang attack a lot more interesting and have an actual use outside of combos by giving it an alternative version, and some plus frames. These are some of my ideas I have for the character, but let me know what some of the ideas you have for the character. Blue Vegeta, no matter what happens, him needing help is not in question. He needs help, right? He is definitely in a pretty dire state right now. So let me know what you think can be done for the character. But anyways, my friends, I guess that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.